So to take your first question, so in modernization, what we've done is tried to pull as much money forward as possible in all kinds of areas. I'm not trying to maximize pain. I'm trying to minimize pain. I'm trying to pull money forward and use money to make sure that we do all we can to function as well as possible. So we are continuing with the modernization effort. We're selecting an integrator, a project manager that's going to help us with this. I don't want it, no offense, Frank, but I don't want the FAA to manage this project by themselves. They're not project managers. So we're hopeful that that selection is going to be made by the end of this month, and that work is continuing right now as we go through that selection process. I would just note that we do have $12.5 billion out of $31.5 billion. A key component of that money that I don't have is the money to build the new software. Again, I'm using like a Windows 95 or a Windows XP, if you guys are old enough to know what those systems are like. That's the genre of programming that we're using. I want a brand new system, a brand new software system to manage our skies. I need the Congress to give us that, the rest of the money. I need those resources. And by the way, the new software, it's going to take us a while to have it developed, and then it has to be debugged, and then it has to be deployed. So this is the longest time frame of the issues that I have to deal with, which is why the longer I wait, the longer it takes. And so I do hope, and by the way, this is bipartisan. We're talking about partisan shutdowns right now. Democrats and Republicans agree with this, and I'm hopeful that they will move quickly as we come in after the shutdown, whether at the end of this year or the start of next year, to get us those resources. In regard to compromise, what Republicans have said is keep the current levels. Let's not change it. It's truly a continuing resolution. Just keep the government open and funded, and we have time to continue the conversations. But to be held hostage for health care for illegals, I don't think makes sense. Again, I don't think that's a compromise that Republicans are willing to make. President Trump has talked about America First, and America First means let's work on housing and health care and food and air traffic and air travel for American citizens. But to stand up and say we're going to fund something for those who are not here lawfully, I think is a problem for Republicans and the president. Yes? So we've had layoffs across the Department of Transportation, which FAA is part of. But in regard to critical staffing positions, like air traffic controllers, they have not been laid off, right? But the Civil Rights Division that reviews issues with the big projects in New York, they have been laid off. So again, if it's critical infrastructure, critical jobs that maintain safety, whether it's on our roads, our rail, our bridges, our airports, those folks come to work. But they come to work without a guarantee that they're going to get paid, which is why they're so concerned as they're in these towers, controlling this airspace, thinking about what's going to happen in their own homes. Again, they're not wealthy. They don't have 3 or 4 or 5 months of cash sitting in their bank accounts. Like many of us, they go from one paycheck to the next, and they rely on that to pay the bills. And as of right now, that paycheck's not going to come, and that concerns them. Yes. So just to be clear, I don't have TSA under my control, so all the complaints on TSA don't come to me. But in regard to controllers, yeah, there's controllers that have called out sick, so we're tracking it, and I don't have a continual problem in one area, right? There's been, one facility one day, another facility another day. Some areas there's been a 50% reduction in some of the staffing, and again, we're tracking it, and we take the appropriate action necessary to make sure our skies are safe. And again, we have great managers that are here. If we see there's issues in the tower that are affecting controllers' ability to effectively control the airspace, we'll reduce the rate, and you'll see more delays, or you might see a cancellation. I'm willing to do that before we're willing to risk anyone's life in the air. By the way, we're here in Newark. At the end of April, early May, we had 2 outages that were very concerning. You saw the rate get reduced dramatically. We worked with Verizon and our other partners, and we put in redundant fiber lines as opposed to the old copper, and that has been functioning very well. The last stats I have for several months, Newark was the most on-time airport in the whole system. So things are going better here, and we're moving at a way different speed than what they moved in past administrations. Again, trying to address the problems as quickly as possible. We saw an outage at DFW a couple weeks ago. We had redundant lines in DFW, but they had a single point of failure in that system, which means you don't have redundancy. And that single point of failure failed, and you saw some mass outages that rippled through the system. Again, those are the issues that we're looking at, which is why part of the $12.5 billion is to rebuild the telecom infrastructure and make sure you don't have another Newark, you don't have another DFW. You take care of it, you do it right, you do it fast, and you make it worthy of 2025, not worthy of 1998. One more question.